That's awesome.
All right, so let me just quickly go through we should actually approve the minutes if someone wants to make a motion to approve our last minute.
Speaking of which, I have start taking notes.
Speaking of which, get your pens.
Speaking of which, all right.
I motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
Thank you,
Okay, and
Mark.
if someone can second.
Aye. Is that what I said?
Yep, that's a great
Was
Karen
that like
second.
me? I'll do that.
So now because we're on Zoom, we have to roll call this, so we can't just say we all approve. So then I go
Okay.
around and I say, okay, now Beth, you approve,
I approve.
and Carrie, you already seconded. Mark
Yeah.
made the motion, and I approve. So that passes then unanimously. All right, let's pay some bills. All right, we have. Dun, 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 dun. So. Well, actually, I'll tandem these together. So we only really have 4 big expenses that we have to pay out. They're pretty big though, but that we pay out annually. We pay the Goose Guy, portable toilets, the ground maintenance, and the playground is going to be on that list too. Trash, I have to touch base with Highway. They had taken care of it since last October, which kind of actually worked out because I feel like that should be a highway job. That should not come out of Parks and Rec to pay someone to take care of the trash. But I know they've been understaffed for so long, but they did a really nice job helping us out this past fall. So I want to try to revisit that and see if we can kind of keep that as is rather than spending out of our budget, because we only get $12,400. So if we consume $2,400 of that with trash, that knocks us down a lot. If that's something that Highway can kind of do. I know it stinks for them because it's one more thing, but maybe if we can kind of organize it, I don't know. I'll have a conversation with them, but those are the 4 big ones that we pay. So Goose Patrol, we pay, he invoices us twice a year. I've asked now for him to just do it once a year because I feel like it just always gets lost in the shuffle of paying it out. So $600 a year we pay, and it keeps the grounds. You guys will see geese down there, but that's normal because geese come back to the same spot every year to have their babies. So you're always going to see a flock down there, and it's just the dogs come and they just, send the geese away, and then they come again, and we get 30 visits for the year, and we share that with the school. So they get, I think they have 30, we have 30. And then John calls them whenever he sees the geese. And if I'm driving by, I just text Mark and he comes down and off they go. So I think it's a nice way to remove the geese for $600. Does everyone agree we should keep this service?
Yeah. Where's he from?
Yeah,
I'm just
definitely.
curious.
I want to say he's out of Groton.
Oh, okay. I was just curious.
I think it's Groton, Mass. The old building, actually, facilities manager before Steve, he actually hooked up with him. He found this guy.
Nice.
So it was many, many moons ago. So, all right. So we're going to pay him.
Okay.
We have to pay. We have not paid at all for the year. So we still owe for this year. So let's make a motion. Actually, why don't I'll just say the bills that we have to pay. And then at the end,
Okay.
we'll just make a motion for all of it.
Mhm.
Well, it's not really much. So we're going to do $600 for Goose Patrol. So that's once a year. So he's going to now invoice us July 1st. So fiscal year to fiscal year rather than calendar year. Okay, January. So we'll pay this one. This is for fiscal 22. FY 22. I haven't received an invoice about the basketball hoops yet. And I haven't received an invoice from the portable toilets for the last 2 months for portable toilets. So that's kind of where we are with they both know I've reached out to both companies, but they just haven't submitted any invoices to us. And I went to the office today, our mailbox, and we still don't have it.
Okay.
So that's that. So now we just make a motion then for $600 to come out of our general funds.
I make a motion.
Awesome.
Second.
Someone want a second? Beautiful. Mark second. Okay, all in favor. Beth.
Aye.
All right, Carrie. We'll go again. Mark.
Aye.
And Julie, aye. Okay, that passes unanimously. I will submit that to June. All right. At the end of December, for our volunteer rec positions, Just wanted to say that. We are responsible. I think I actually submitted it to you guys in an email, just so you can see. So every year we have to submit to the town what we would like for a budget for the following fiscal year. We base that on our expenses. Okay, it's not like what we want. It's based on what we expend from the previous year. Okay. So they have asked all the committees and departments not to do anything higher than I think it was a 2, I can't remember the percentage. I think it's a 2.5% increase. Bottom line is yeah, wow, big wow. We can only ask for $310 extra.
Okay.
Yep, laugh it up. I agree. I almost fell off my chair. I mean, the good news, not that there's any good news about that, because there's no good news, because I'm going to show you guys what we have to annually pay out. But the good news is now we have CPA funds that as long as we're on top of planning for, we can hopefully, if the town approves some of the projects that we want to do, like for instance, on this is what it looks like. I know you guys can't really see this, but it's in your emails. Basically, I just have to write our 4 categories, what we used last year, and then what we want for this year. Now we have a couple increases, like our portable toilet expense went up because we added an ADA accessible unit onto the pond side. We didn't have that before. We only ever had stuff on the other side, the soccer field side. But now that, the basketball courts were getting used a lot more, the playgrounds, the gaga pits, it just made sense to keep one over there, which is fine, but that just raised our dollar amount, right? So for portable toilets, we pay, $2,400 for the year, excluding the winter seasons, because we obviously don't have them there. So we also, for Goose Patrol, we pay the $600. For True Green, we are slated to pay $16,000 this year. Because we're doing an overhaul in those front fields. We're redoing those. But soccer contributes to that dollar amount too. So all we ask for from the town for part of our budget, and Beth, I can send you these numbers if I'm going too fast, is $12,250. Because soccer pays the difference in whatever soccer pays us for their fees gets earmarked to get pay out to True Green. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Right? Much like basketball, the men's basketball league that plays every Monday night, they make a contribution every year too. And Joe just gave me that, and that's for $333. This money gets earmarked for anything that we do for the gym. What the basketball program is going to pay rec for basketball, that money gets earmarked for the gym too. So for the basketball hoops, the gym floor, or whatever. Nothing specific for the program, like the actual hoops basketball paid for, but to keep the gym up and running, because we have a pretty nice agreement with Mr. Campbell that we don't pay to rent that gym. Where in Boylston, you pay, if anyone wants to use that gym, they pay for that. And Mr. Campbell's always been super, super nice with the basketball program. So we kind of take care of the gym. I remember, Carrie, you asked a while ago too about, that's insane. Why does, what do you mean? The town doesn't pay for the school building, but it's kind of it works out to be a pretty good agreement, until maybe it's not. And if we get to that point where it's not, then we can kind of revisit that. So the last thing on here was the, for our budget request, I put the playground on there. So every 3 years we get wood chips delivered to the town playground, not the BMS playground. And I think the last time we did that was in 2018. So not that I have any idea how much this actually is, except for I ended up raking a ton of it. So we got 90 cubic feet, which cost about $2,200. So we should earmark we should spread out over 3 years. That turns out to be like $733 a year. So that should go into our budget, right? That's something that the town should give us because we have to have wood chips in the playground. This is where, CPA money, will come into play because we don't necessarily need town money for that if we can say, okay, let's get to town floor to maybe try, because that playground needs a lot of work. It is, we've said in the past too, this is a dedication playground, so we'll never rip it down. We'll only repair what's already there because that's in the memory of a young child. However, we still have an obligation to put things in code, and it's very much not in code right now. And we can at least start with the wood chips and get those delivered for the spring, so we can start that process. And then we can have somebody come in and do the actual inspection and see kind of what we're looking at for money. But I'd imagine it's going to be tens of thousands to repair some of that equipment.
Julie, what do you think like needs to be done like over there besides just like for $50,000? Like, what would you do?
I would add a couple more. I mean, that's supposed to be a playground for little ones, so we don't need these massive climbing structures. But we definitely need new mats under the swings because those are shredded. So we need almost like the ones on the BMS side. Those are nice, pricey, but we need those completely redone. We need all the nuts and bolts on a lot of that equipment is rusted, and some of it's even missing entirely. We could certainly maybe survey people and ask people that have little kids what maybe little equipment they would like to see. I mean, I did great at that playground with my kids when they were little. I thought it was perfect.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah.
We have Bucks Deluxe across the street, we don't need, and then we have another one inside the school area there.
Right.
I think,
true.
Right. I mean, I don't know what you guys think. I don't think we need to add too much more. I think it's fine for like a little kid playground. What do you guys
Yeah, I
think?
think it's great. It just needs some upkeep,
Yeah.
And I think it's really good where it is too, because when the families are at soccer, the kids can all play there, and it's actually good to have some of those climbing structures for the older kids, not the little ones,
Right.
It's good to have kind of a mix.
Yep.
Is there like a company out there that just does that? So we just have them come in and say, fix this?
Oh yeah, for sure. I
I'm
only
sure
know
it's
this because I worked with the playground committee for the one over there. I'm going to tell you, it is very expensive.
No,
You
yeah, I
would
know
be
that. Yeah.
floored at how much this equipment costs.
crazy.
Yeah.
And playgrounds are supposed to be inspected every year.
Now, who would do that?
Since I've been on rec, actually, there's a guy in town that he inspects playgrounds. So we could maybe see if he wants to do it. But as far as getting a company in to come in and say, hey, here's where we are. We just need this up to code, and we want to keep the structures where they are, unless they're because they put them in hazard zones like 1 to 4 or something. And I think if you're in a certain zone for that structure, I don't think it stays. I think it has to be removed. So maybe we would add something very similar. And I can reach out to not the old, he's not old. He's going to kill me, to the guy that used to chair rec. Because he knows, he has a plaque down there on those bricks because they made a contribution to that playground. So I know he knows more of the backstory behind that, just to find out maybe from the family, maybe what their take on it is. Maybe if they're fine with the whole redoing the whole thing, I don't know, but I can find that out. But it's very expensive, I know that. So, which brings us to our next point of CPA money. So special town meetings coming up. I feel like we were just here.
We were. I swear we were.
It does feel that way, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez. So we have to submit an application. Remember, we have to do the pre-application and then the application. All this does is just brings it before the Community Preservation Act Committee, which, remember, is a representative group. So it's a person from REC, which is me right now. So if anybody else wants to do that, I will easily pass that along to someone. But you sit on there with someone from historic, someone from planning. It's all awesome people. Someone from conservation. I can't remember. Oh, James is on there. He's the person at large from the town. It's a really great group of people. But our job is simply to take the applications. Do they meet the requirement? Does it fulfill what you're supposed to fulfill for CPAC? And then it goes to town floor. We don't vote on them. We just say, yep, 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 good to go to town floor, right? So I think the playground, you know, it's probably a good idea to get on, I'd say this warrant to get money for that playground. What do you guys
Good
think?
idea.
Yeah, let's do it.
Why not?
Yeah. Will we need like a quote or something to go off of? Because it wasn't that thing last time they wanted a quote.
No, so when you go to town floor, you'll need a quote.
Oh, okay.
In the pre-application, you're just making sure that you meet the requirements. When you
I gotcha.
submit your application, I think the committee would like to see that you've done a little bit of legwork. You know, that is the money you're even asking for? Is that even what you need? But $50,000 for that playground is certainly going to help in some capacity. It might not do a complete overhaul, but it'll definitely get us where we need, you know, I think at least so we're within code on the majority of the stuff, I would think. And I can set up a meeting with the lady to come out. The last time we had it inspected, it was a very basic inspection, but I can have her come back out and do a full, I think it's like $500 to have her do it. Draw it all up, what we need. And that
Okay.
way we'll have something from her.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
All right.
Yeah.
If you raise like,
All right.
you know, safety like issues, that's kind of like a no-brainer for the town to say yes to, you know?
Oh my God, for sure. And highway, I know you guys saw that email that
Yeah, I was just gonna say, can't we use that information also that they
Mhm.
reached out to us that it
Yeah.
needs work?
Yep.
Mhm.
And I know Margaret is, you know, she's all about town safety, right? You know, you can't have town structures that just aren't safe because it's just a liability waiting to happen. So she, I think, would also endorse it as well as in addition to the select board. So I think it is a no-brainer, Mark. I think you're totally right. We just have to get the application in.
Okay.
All right, so I'll do the pre-application. I'll submit it over to CPAC. Pre-application for playground. And then we'll go from there with
And
that.
so generally, what are we planning on using the money for? Like you said, the nuts and bolts, new mats, the wood chips,
Mhm.
anything
Yeah.
else you think we could fit in that 50,000 or?
We're just replacing some of those, like those little things you sit on and swing back and forth, like on the springs. Those are like pretty much gone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just trying to think like what, I mean, because I know this stuff can be pretty expensive, but you know, and then
Right.
we'll probably need somebody, you know, like the nuts and bolts and stuff, we might need somebody to do that. So that would be like labor cost and,
yep.
you know, so I'm just trying to figure out what can we fit in this 50,000 or approximately, obviously.
Well, I think too, a
Right.
good start is we should get it inspected because then then we have that
Mm.
report and it says X, Y, and Z needs to be fixed. We have no other choice but to fix it. So it's almost like they can't say it has to be fixed. Then
Yeah.
we'll kind of know where to go with that. Then hire a company that does everything, the labor, everything's tied up neatly.
Yeah,
Company.
nice idea, Karen.
So maybe
do you
we
have
should,
that Team, do you have, who is that in town that you know that does the inspections?
that's actually Laura's dad. He inspects playgrounds.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but he doesn't do his own company. He just goes around and does the inspection, submits, you know.
Yeah, but isn't that something we could have him do? And then we have that little piece of paperwork also?
Yeah, I would say, I think so. Definitely, for
I mean,
sure.
With our little write-up, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
A little
I
bit of
do too.
legwork first.
Yep, yep. I think
I
it might be
agree.
a little rough in the winter. I was
No?
thinking that. What? Like, how do you inspect a playground in the winter?
Well, he can't inspect the ground, but he can inspect the equipment because it's not covered in snow.
Yeah, it's not that much snow.
I mean, don't you think he could walk around, look at the nuts and bolts, look at,
I think so. I think it has a lot to do with how the structures are in the ground also. You know what I
Alright.
mean? I don't know that he'd be able to give a complete report. I mean, it's worth a try, right? It's
no,
worth a try.
that makes sense. To see how it's
Yeah.
Isn't
secured.
it
into-
supposed to warm up tomorrow?
All right.
What?
Isn't it supposed to warm up tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll ask him to come out tomorrow. Hey, Lindsay, what's wrong? I'll see. And if he can't do it for whatever reason, then I'll reach out to the other company that I had that did it last time.
And
All
when
right.
is the next
All right.
special town meeting?
What's that?
When is the next special town meeting, did we say?
I think it's May 4th.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
When do we have to have this pre-paperwork in?
January 26th,
Oh, so
in a
it's
week.
coming up.
But the
All right.
pre-application is not, it's easy. The pre-application's easy.
So maybe in
And then-
between, you know,
Yep.
coming in the spring, he can do an inspection of it and we can get a little bit more finalized on what we need or want.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Yep.
You know, I think that's a
Yeah.
good idea, Terry.
Yep.
All right, very good.
Smart.
right.
Okay. All right. Awesome. What was I gonna say? All right, we did that, guys. We're flying. We did that. Okay. In addition to when we submit this, our budget request, they also ask you to submit like a little write-up, which I did about who you pay out, if you do have an increase, why the increase. So I submitted all that. Not like it's going to matter because we're only going to get what we get. We are then, after we submit this, and I submitted it late, it was due December 6th, and I just handed it in last week, partly because I was just in surgery and this wasn't on my radar. But it didn't really matter. If we were going to be able to put in our budget if we were going to get what we should get, I may have been a little bit swifter no, I probably wouldn't have because I was out of it because I was in surgery. But we now have to meet with the finance committee. Every board and every committee then sits down with finance committee for 15 minutes. And then they ask you questions about your budget. And then, you go back and forth. And I mean, we're not asking for a lot more. So I imagine they're just going to, give us what we've asked for, but I don't know. It could go either way. So hopefully we stay with 12.
them?
What's that?
Do we all sit down with them?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And they sent out when we meet, but we weren't on there because I hadn't submitted ours yet. So I'm just waiting for them to throw us into one of the placeholder marks. And I'm imagining it's by Zoom because every meeting is by Zoom. So it'll be from your houses, which will be great.
Julie,
What else? Did you have a
Hey,
question?
Julie.
Mark? Yeah, go ahead.
in like what world would we be able to like apply for like $30,000 for like an annual budget? Like, or is it just like 2% every year and there's nothing you can do about it?
No, that's not true actually, because there was a year before COVID that we went up to 15 something. 30, if I think, Mark, if there's a big enough push from the community.
Yeah, but like, how do you do that though? Like, what's the process for that? Or is this kind of it?
This is kind of it.
It just doesn't seem like there's an opportunity to ask for much more if they're saying limited to like 2.5%,
Right. And they've done this before. But we don't get a lot to start with. So 2.5% is so small, right?
Right, exactly. It'll take us 30 years to get to $30,000.
Well, right, exactly. Yeah. And the point is too, like, taking care of our grounds is, that's a lot of money. I don't think people recognize how much money it is to take care of those 10 acres.
Right.
I mean, just to fertilize that 3 times a year is thousands,
Right.
and we can't just say like, we're just going to let it ride because it turns to shit in the handbag if you just let it ride.
Yeah,
And then
we
you get
can't.
an infestation of bugs. And I mean, it's a disaster. But I don't think anyone really recognizes until you actually start seeing the figures of how much gets paid out. What we do about that, maybe we can meet with finance committee and say, hey, this is where we're at. If we're not going to get it in our annual budget, maybe it becomes, it becomes a capital expense through the town. That the town grounds is, that gets paid through that budget. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather than this one. But that's a good question. Sometimes I wish meetings weren't on Zoom. But there's that. So we can have a discussion about it sometime. Yeah. All right. So in addition to that, that's due in December, We also are responsible for writing our annual town report. I've written the last couple. It goes into that book that gets sent to our houses before we go to annual town meeting. And there's just a little write-up from like what rec does. There's a write-up about our what's in our account, how much money we have in our general funds, how much money we have in our revolving funds, what we've sort of done throughout the year. I sent that to you guys too, just so you can get a look at it. I'll write it again this year because I know you guys are all new. But just moving forward, somebody should, you know, maybe take lead on this other than me. But that is due the end of January, and I will submit that on time. Guys, what else? Hold on. Oh my God, I feel like we don't have much more. Let me open this agenda. Do you guys have anything that I'm missing?
I don't think so.
I just wanted to quickly touch base on the flag football.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I guess just from your perspective, Julie, like what I feel like, you know, in other towns and even in this case, like I'm kind of being asked on rec to like make flag football happen, but the way I understand it, we more or less just like rent out the fields. Like we're not like really like, I kind of said like, well, you know, like Rick Lee like runs baseball and then like kind of like with rec support, and like Chris runs soccer like with rec support. Like, are we supposed to be like making flag football happen, or is that like someone has to run it and like we'll kind of more or less like allow it? Like, what's your take on that? Like the role of rec in that?
Sure, I see what you're saying. So I think now this is how it's been in the past. We've always endorsed youth sports, but we've been a separate, like you said, we partner, right? We rent the fields, we take care of all that stuff, but we don't run the sports programs like they do in other towns. Those are run by, just like you said, the directors of the sport. Now, it doesn't have to be that way for everything. Something like flag football, if that's sort of more like intramural, I don't know how big flag football is.
I think it can be huge, but I think for us it would probably start pretty small.
Okay. So I mean, for something like that, I guess it would come down to, we're volunteers, right? So if someone on the program, I mean, in this committee has the bandwidth to spearhead a flag football program, we could endorse it, we could run it through rec, no problem, but that would fall on one of us to do. So the thing in other towns, right, is they have recreation directors and they run all these awesome programs and everything goes through their department because they have paid salaried positions, right? Right. So I would say for the rec program, I mean, I don't know if Eric, he's Parks and Recs in Boylston, right? Yeah. I think he is. But I don't know if he's volunteer or if he is
he's volunteer, but they have someone who gets like, $25,000 a year to basically do like all the stuff that basically you do, like all the behind the scenes stuff.
Got it.
So like having that position would allow us to do a lot more, but obviously it's probably not going to happen here, but.
Right. I think it could if there was enough of a drive from the community or a want from the community to have this position, right? Because it's all really about what the community members want and need. And I just don't think it's ever really been something, it's just always been pushed, right? That rec is sort of, it's fine. Volunteers can just do it.
Yeah. Well, until we stop doing it all, then they'll just say, oh, well, Julia was doing it.
You're 100% right. I was thinking of that today when I was looking at this binder and sorting through all this stuff. Like, this is a volunteer position, and I don't mind doing it because I love the kids in the community and I've met such great people. But I hope the next people that come in are, are doing it with the same, have the time, right, to do it with the same, eagerness that I was able to do, right? Maybe everyone can't do that, right? But I don't know. It has, something has to give there. I'm with you, Mark. I think rec should be a paid position, the
Mhm.
directorship for sure. But
Yeah.
that's down the line. Maybe that's down the line. But anyways, as far, so actually, Mark, I'm glad you actually brought that up because we do have to have that conversation about rec programs in general. Because I told the girls that I would do this. We do have someone that wants to do yoga. And I do my fitness one, and then Melissa wants to do Pilates up at 1870. So I can't actually be involved in this conversation because I don't know, my paperwork was there, but I don't know what happened to it. So you guys have to, as a group, come up with, unless you want to table this and we do it later next month, but I feel like we can't keep putting this off. We have to have some kind of fee schedule in place for just for this specifically. And the reason why we do for this one specifically is because this one's kind of like a little bit different than like a, after school sewing class or I don't know, or a minute to win at Valentine's program or a Lego or a chess club, because we have, we have, what do we have?
Degrees or
Certifications, right? And we have, right, exactly. So we'll have to have,
Mhm.
we have to have something in place where, because we all have to submit to the town our own insurance, and all our certificate, CPR or whatever else that we have.
Mhm.
So we have to have some kind of, are we going to charge a percentage? Are we going to charge a per hour? Are we going to charge a per month? Something like that.
Okay. So can I just, I know it's completely different,
Yep.
but what are we doing about baseball, soccer, and basketball?
In terms of what?
We charge them, correct, going forward?
We do. Yep. So we charge, so soccer gets charged $175 a team.
Okay.
Theirs is a bit higher than
Okay.
Baseball or basketball, because to maintain the arena is a lot more expensive, right? We're looking at like $16,000 to maintain those fields every year.
Mhm.
Basketball took a hit this year because we went the whole COVID year and we didn't have the hoops repaired. So I still have to wait to see. I don't have that invoice, what that's going to be. So in the past, basketball's only ever made a donation at the end of the year. They didn't do it per team like we do for soccer. It was just basketball would write a donation of whatever, 250 or $500 or something like that. And then baseball, I can't remember what baseball does. It's per team, but I
Okay.
don't actually know.
I'm just
Yeah,
trying
what
to
if we
get,
just did like 5% of the net profit, is paid to rec. So they're making $100, they, pay 5 to rent.
All right, all right. Oh, I can't be involved in this conversation. I'm just gonna take
Yeah.
notes.
Yeah, I think that's
I'll ask questions though.
smart.
yeah, because I mean, I truly don't know
Like that.
what
What's that?
that would be. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Carrie.
No, go ahead, Beth. My internet is getting spotty here.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I'm not really sure. I mean, I know Julie, and you are the one to answer these questions, so I am gonna direct it to you.
Okay.
But as far as the yoga, the fitness, your fitness and Pilates, I mean, like you said, there has to be the insurance as well as the certificates and everything else, like all their training that they've had. So I don't know generally what a decent cost per person per class or however they do it. I know what yours was. I don't know if it remains the same, but I don't know if they're going to do it per class, per person, like a group classes. Like, I'm not sure how they're going to be charging, but I think Mark has a good point of doing like a 5% thing. I think that is a good idea, something similar to that, because it could change.
Yeah,
know,
and
the-
like, if someone's just starting out, you don't want the cost of the, renting the
Right.
space to be prohibitive to even them doing the business. And it's all supposed to be, nonprofit and just kind of, or like rec
Mhm.
is supposed to be nonprofit and just kind of giving back to the community and creating these opportunities. So keep the costs
Right.
low and, have more and more people do it.
Absolutely. And that way
Yeah,
they
I
can
agree
keep
with
their
that.
costs low too.
Mhm.
So that'd be, I
So-
think that's a good idea.
Can I ask a question? How would you do 5% of net profit per week, per month? How would that work? Like if it's a recurring class, right?
I would say per month because, the summer may not be as busy as, the winter or vice versa. So that way they're not paying more in the slower times of year. And they pay a little more when it's really busy.
Yeah.
I think that's good too. Because like you said, there's gonna be slow times. Most likely it's gonna be recurring class. These 3 at least would be weekly. So that would give them time to gather up for the month. I
Right, and
guess.
they would just
Okay,
have
now
to
how would
submit,
I,
like, honor, like, we wouldn't need them
Yeah.
to give us like a roster of like
Yeah.
what they
just
made this week. We would
honor
just say at the
system,
end of
course.
I don't
5%.
think anyone's really going to be, at that low of a rate. I think it's fair enough where people will be happy to pay it for the space.
Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Mhm.
Okay. I think that sounds good. Do we
you
did,
guys have to make a motion.
yeah, I was gonna say, are we all set? Are we all discussed out on that?
I think so.
I think so too. All right, all right, so I make a motion that we should implement, I guess, the 5% monthly of the net profit. I don't know how to work. Mark, you should have done it.
I know. I second that.
All right. So I made the motion.
All right, I
No.
second that, right?
I approve
right.
as well.
All right, perfect. I approve. Carrie, you approve?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so at this point, I would say that would be unanimous. Because Julie can't vote.
Yep, I recluse myself from voting. Yep, that's great. So we should have this conversation. So I'm gonna let Melissa and the yoga lady know. Now, how do we let people know about these programs?
So
Yeah, I
nobody
mean, I think
the website.
Oh,
I
good.
think we need to do flyers or something.
Yeah, I
mean,
was thinking flyers.
Backpack?
Website.
I think Facebook. I
Okay,
think rec should have like a
Facebook.
Facebook page.
I agree on that, Mark. I totally agree on that.
Mark, that is a good job for you.
I was just gonna say it'd be a good job for you.
you know what, Felicia, that'd be a really good job for
Yes.
Felicia
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
when she gets her
Jesse
ass
mentioned
on.
she wanted to do that, so that's perfect.
Perfect, we'll give that to her. That's her first job. We could also we have a page on the town website. Carrie, you manage that, right? Yep, you forgot. Don't worry, I got you.
I thought I had the minutes and all that jazz.
No, you were doing the website, remember?
I don't think so, but yes, you can show me.
Okay, then I'll show you, and there's a spot you can add it there. But as far as like people signing up for the classes, we'll just have to have a link. They're gonna have to go through the instructor.
Yeah, totally.
Cause
Yeah, that's a good
I don't
idea.
wanna manage that.
No.
Yeah. And they're
No,
gonna be
definitely
taking it anyways, so just let them
Yeah,
deal with that.
all right. All right, that's awesome. That would be great. I mean, at least then we have like, and we can kind of promote this as sort of this wellness initiative, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because those are really 3 different wellness classes, there's the strength and conditioning and then yoga and then Pilates. Those are all very different classes.
And
Yeah.
they're all excellent.
Yeah, those are awesome. All right, sweet.
Mhm.
We're making progress. All right, I
Making a
think,
mental note that I put the website. Yeah.
well, you're gonna do a great job on that website. We're gonna call you Webmaster Kerry.
All right, I just
update,
put an
sorry.
alert in my phone for this weekend. You can show me.
Okay, good. That's perfect.
Not fun.
All right. I think, what else do we have? CPA, budget, deposit. That's it. All right, that's it. Oh, we have to make a motion to approve a deposit of $333 from men's basketball to recreation.
All right, I make a motion for the men's basketball.
I second.
$330, great. All right, all in favor, Beth?
Approve.
All right, Carrie?
Approve.
Mark? Yes, and Julie? Yes, me, approve. All right, great. I will deposit that. I will submit the Goose Patrol. Guys, I think that's it.
Awesome.
Sweet. Wow, we banged it out at 7 tonight. I like that.
We're
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
All right,
All right,
folks.
so I'm gonna get the application going for the playground.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
Yes.
then
do it.
anything else? So Mark, did I answer your question about the flag football or no, actually?
I mean, I don't think there is an answer. I think it's just kind of trying to make it work, you know, that's kind of where we're at. So
Yep, I think
and
try and
think
make
that-
it work.
That's basically what I said too. Like, you know, or if you want to do it, that's awesome, do it, you know, but
Right.
you know, I wish, you know, in a perfect world, you know, someone could have that idea and, you know, we could have people that like actually get paid to, you know, make that happen. But it's a lot for any person who doesn't like, you know, want to do it to, you know, to do it.
Mhm.
Goals.
And you know, I think that I don't think people in town realize that we are just volunteers. I try to put the word volunteer in everything I write recreation so that people do understand that.
Yeah.
Because in most all towns, people
Yeah.
we're not volunteers, you know? And so like you said, Mark, you can do these things. Oh my God, great idea. Yes, we'll do that. But
Yeah.
you know, we're just living ordinary lives too, just trying to kind of stay afloat and doing this too. So I don't think people know that we're just volunteers. So
Definitely.
that's
They
tough.
definitely don't.
Yeah, so I feel
think
free
it's
to
a
just shove it in
volunteer
people's
town.
Yeah.
No problem. All right, guys. Anyone else have anything?
No?
Nope.
Awesome. All right, guys.
When's our
Stay
next
healthy.
meeting?
Yeah, that was good. All right, we'll adjourn the meeting at 7:55.
All right.
Good
Thank you.
stuff.